Snap Studios. Did you know there's a cannabis company that ships federally legal THC right to your door? I'm talking about Mood.com's incredible line of functional gummies. And you can get 20% off your first order at Mood.com with promo code SNAP. Whether you're looking for help with focus, cramps, or even intimacy, Mood has a gummy for that. Best of all, not only is every Mood product backed by a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as I mentioned, listeners get 20% off their first order with code SNAP. So head to Mood.com, find the functional gummy that matches exactly what you're looking for, and let Mood help you discover your perfect mood. And don't forget to use promo code SNAP when you check out to save 20% on your first order. Summer is here, and 365, Whole Food Market's house brand, has everything you need for delicious summer fun. For less, no matter who is coming over. And the Snap tip is to look for hundreds of yellow, low-price signs that help you save without compromising the quality you expect from Whole Foods Market. Find them on meats, boneless chicken breasts, more, all no biotics ever. You can find great low prices in-store and online. Shop Whole Foods Market for everyday high-quality, low-price items. Terms apply. There are so many ways to save on summer grilling favorites at Whole Foods Market. So yesterday morning, I'm waking up, sleep still in my eye, and I smell first. I sense someone in my bedroom, someone I don't know. Who are you? A man stepped from the shadows and tells me I am under arrest. Arrest? For what? It's not our job to tell you that. It's gonna be your job to catch these hands. Show me the warrant. Why can't you just accept your position? Y'all are making a mistake. There is no mistake. Our authorities do not have to search for guilt. They are drawn to guilt. This is the law. And that I do have to accept, because deep down, the truth is, I know I'm guilty. I just don't know of what. Now, Snappers, you may know this invented story from the trial by Franz Kafka, but today on Snap, we've got some very real stories of people fighting for their lives, for their dignity, for how they're seen, and even how they see themselves. In a land where everyone is guilty until proven innocent. Today from KQED, Snap Judgment proudly presents The Battle. My name is Glenn Washington. You have the right to remain silent. Or at least you used to, when you're listening to Snap Judgment. Now, for our first story, we asked the question, can what's inside a burrito tell you about what's inside a person? The story of a world-class athlete in a world of trouble. From producer John Fecile, Snap Judgment.
What's your biggest goal?
That's a great question.
Or what was it before all this?
I think it's still the same. Ultimately, I want to just get the most out of myself and see what I'm capable of.
The clock is ticking down, and we turn our attention to two individual track finals now. both involving world-class women. The first...
2019, the World Athletics Championships in Doha. Shelby Houlihan, brown hair, tattoos, reps the U.S. in the women's 1500.
2019 was probably my first time where I lined up at a world stage and was like, I belong here. I'm gonna walk away with a medal.
Shelby had an Olympics under her belt, and she holds a couple of American track records. But now, at age 27, she's entering her prime.
The final of the women's 1500 meters begins. So much intrigue with this one. Faith Kipyegon.
And Shelby runs the 1500 in 3 minutes and 54 seconds, faster than any American woman in history.
But look at this acceleration from Sifan Hassan. This is incredible.
And it just ain't enough. Sifan Hassan, an Ethiopian Dutch runner, finishes with the gold 3 seconds ahead of her.
Mind-blowing. She tore a world-class field to pieces.
Shelby doesn't even make bronze.
4th place.
Yep.
What are the emotions? How are you feeling?
Honestly, very disappointed.
Afterwards, she's interviewed by reporters, one of whom makes a point of asking about her shoes.
You didn't wear new Nike prototype spikes, why?
I like
Just before the race, Shelby's coach had pleaded with her to wear super shoes, a new type of carbon-plated track shoe that all the other runners were using and breaking records with.
Honestly, I don't know. I've never really worn them.
And after the race, her coach tries again.
He was just like, what if that was the difference between you getting 4th place in Doha and you medaling? And I'm like, that's exactly why I don't want to wear them. Because, like, I don't want it to be the shoes that I wore. For me, my own personal, like, morals, like, that crosses my line. I don't agree with it. I think it's pretty black and white. Like, I don't really think there is a gray area. If you're trying to gain an advantage when you don't naturally have one, like, to me, that's you're like an intention to cheat.
Can you tell me about when you got the email, where it happened, what was going on?
Yeah, so
January 2021.
we were at altitude camp in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Shelby is with a few of her teammates from the Bowerman Track Club, and they're grabbing brunch after finishing up a workout.
I got an email on my phone that was saying it's this confidential, urgent email, and so I was like, I opened it, obviously, and like reading it.
This email, it's from the Athletics Integrity Unit, the anti-doping arm of World Athletics. A urine sample that she'd given one morning in December 2020 hadn't been clean.
You're immediately suspended from competition.
Suspended. In the middle of training for the Tokyo Olympics, she'd be unable to run in the Olympic trials just 6 months away.
What the hell?
Shelby was tested regularly. 2 or 3 times a month, the Athletics Integrity Unit would send an official to her home to watch her pee in a cup.
I was one of the most tested athletes in the U.S. because I was doing very well.
That's an understatement.
Second fastest time ever run on American soil.
She was, quite possibly, Team USA's best hope at medaling in middle distance running.
I'm starting to panic, and so I was just like opening the technical document of what I tested positive for. 19-nerandosterone? Like, what's that?
19-nerandosterone is a metabolite of a steroid called nandrolone.
It helps you build muscle. I think it can help recovery.
This is me on nandrolone with 2 30-ton boulders resting upon my scapula.
Nandrolone is more common in bodybuilding and weightlifting, but plenty of runners have been caught using it.
We get home. I ended up going to my room, and I call my coach, Jerry, and I was like, it took me probably 5 minutes to get it out. Like, something happened.
Shelby's coach connects her to sports lawyer Paul Green. And that afternoon, Shelby and her new lawyer hop on a Zoom call. They have to provide an explanation for how nandrolone ended up in her system, and they only have 7 days.
And he's like, go to your local, like, drugstore and go get a pregnancy test. Nandrolone levels can be high in pregnant women or something like that.
Nandrolone occurs naturally in the human body in very small amounts.
I go to the local Walgreens, get a pregnancy test, take the pregnancy test. I'm like, okay, I'm not pregnant. That's not what it is.
Shelby sends off a bunch of her daily vitamins for testing. She cuts off some strands of hair, sends those to a lab. Then she and her new lawyer start going through what she ate the day before the test to see if there was anything that could have contaminated her urine.
I was able to recreate a food log using like text messages and iPhone locations.
And right away, they noticed something.
I ate at this food truck the night before the test. I ended up ordering a carne asada burrito, but maybe that's not what it was.
Did it not taste like carne asada?
I don't know. Like, I was putting salsa in every bite. So, like, I guess I wasn't also, like, looking for it to be anything else, you know? Like, I was just eating a burrito.
One of Shelby's teammates also got a burrito from this truck, but neither of them could finish.
It was super, super greasy. Like, there's just grease pooling in the bottom of this. And that's why we were like, maybe it was chorizo or something like that, or pig offal or something.
Pig offal, an all-purpose blend of pig organs, often used in chorizo, and it could have been the source of the nandrolone.
Well, it can be found naturally in pigs or like uncastrated boars.
Another meal made simple with pork. Slice it.
And so we were like, okay,
Saute it.
that's something. So let's put a pin in that and like keep looking and see if there's anything else.
3. Pork, the other white meat.
But there is nothing else. The vitamins come back clean. She's not using any eye drops or skin creams known to contain nandrolone. Maybe, her lawyer says, the burrito contained pig offal, and that spiked her nandrolone levels.
So we hired a private investigator to like try to figure out where this food truck sources their meat, and it ended up we were able to like backtrack it to like a huge processing plant.
Next, the PI went to the food truck itself.
He ordered all of the different meats, took them all out of the tortilla, wrapped them up individually, put them in a cooler, and then shipped them to a lab.
Those samples come back negative, but Shelby and her lawyer decide to submit the Burrito Theory anyway as their official explanation for how nandrolone ended up in her urine.
This was the only lead that we had, and this is kind of like what we tried to prove.
And as crazy as it sounds, the Burrito Theory might be their best shot. Cases where athletes' urine samples are contaminated by outside sources are really common. And a lot of the time, meat is the culprit.
I'm trying to trust this process. I'm trying to trust, like, I didn't do anything. They're going to see that. They'll obviously, like, they're not going to ban an innocent athlete. But I'm also like, what if they do? That can't happen. Like, there's just, that can't be what my career is.
Either the Athletics Integrity Unit accepts the Burrito Theory, or Shelby loses everything. Her reputation, her friends. She's been with her team for almost 6 years. And you were living with your teammates?
I was living with, like, a few of them, yeah. I ended up not telling most of my team. I was trying to kind of keep it under wraps because I didn't want the whole world to find out. I ended up telling the people that I was living with what was going on because I was obviously an emotional wreck. I was like crying all the time. During that time, I got so freaking fit. Like, I was throwing myself into running, like, to an unhealthy extent. Like, my foot, my plantar was about to tear in half. Like, I had basically a stress reaction in my foot. Like, I was just, it was my only way to cope with what was happening. So I was just like, I can't stop because then it'll all be too much.
Months pass, February, March, with no word from the Athletics Integrity Unit on whether or not they'll accept the Burrito Theory, and Shelby's running out of time. So in April, with the Olympic trials less than 2 months away, she and her lawyer decide to do something drastic. They appeal directly to a higher authority, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, to force a high-stakes showdown with World Athletics.
We just, like, felt confident that we could win. we need to just get this over with, get through this process, and be able to win, and so I can race at the trials. Like, that was really where our minds were at.
When Snap returns, the Burrito Theory faces the ultimate test. Stay tuned. Everywhere I go these days, everything I do, it seems like there's always an extra fee, an extra hot sauce fee. We've got the administrative fee, the processing fee. I went to pay for something. The man says, there is a fee for paying with the card. What do you mean? There's a fee to pay the fee? And these fees, they hurt the most when you're down. That's why Chime offers fee-free banking, which means no monthly fees, no overdraft fees, and no minimum balance fees. Sign up today at chime.com/snap. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/snap. That's chime.com/snap. Chime. Feels like progress.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. members FDIC. Optional services and products may have fees or charges, such as outbound instant transfers, out-of-network transactions, and credit products. Learn more at chime.com/feesinfo.
Here's the truth. It seems like everyone is talking about being burned out. Behind the highlight reels are high-functioning people quietly falling apart, low energy, fragile moods, libido gone, and your little yearly checkups, they aren't giving you the answers or insights you need. I chose Function to help find the signals under the symptoms with tests to measure testosterone, cortisol, vitamin D, magnesium, more, so much more, and it was easy. A couple of short visits to get the fluids, and Function puts names and numbers to the crashes no one can see. Because seeking information about what's off is the first step to getting yourself back. Learn more and join using my link. The first 1,000 get a $100 credit toward their membership. Visit functionhealth.com/snap or use gift code SNAP100 at sign up to own your health. Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the battle episode. Now, the Olympics are on the line for runner Shelby Houlihan, and everything's riding on the contents of a burrito. Snap Judgment.
June 4th, 2021. Shelby hops on a Zoom call at 6 a.m. to face the Court of Arbitration for Sport.
Just like I wanted to throw up. Like, I was so nervous. Such an important day of my life. And it's just like, it's in the hands of someone else.
3 someone elses, the 3 arbitrators of the court. They will hear the evidence and decide whether or not her ban is upheld. Also on the call, Shelby's legal team, lawyers from World Athletics, and a handful of scientists from Europe, Canada, and the U.S., called by both sides as expert witnesses.
I was shaking. Like, I was terrified.
Shelby unmutes herself and explains, again, the Burrito Theory. How she ordered carne asada, how it was so greasy she couldn't finish, how it could have been pork. She tells the court that she's a clean athlete, that she even thinks cheaters should face jail time.
I don't know what you need to hear. Like, I'm just trying to, like, show you who I am and, like, that I wouldn't do something like this, and I hope that you believe me.
Her lawyer submits statements from her coaches and teammates, all vouching for her character. He submits the results of a lie detector test.
Passed with a 99.98%.
And the results of her hair test.
Hair sample is 100% clean.
If Shelby had been injecting nandrolone, the most effective way of using it, and if she'd been doing that repeatedly over time, that test would have shown a buildup of the drug in her hair.
From that, we were able to get them to concede that, okay, there's no way that this could have been an injection.
The positive test was just a one-time result. one dirty test among dozens of clean ones she'd given over the years, and the level of nandrolone in Shelby's urine was small enough, her lawyer argues, with the help of scientists he's called his expert witnesses, that it could have been caused by pork. The lawyers from World Athletics, though, they have a different take. Their expert witness, Dr. Christiane Ayotte, ran the lab in Canada that had tested Shelby's urine in the first place.
And they chose her as an expert, like a lead scientist in the case, which in my mind is a huge conflict of interest. Like, she's not going to go and speak against her results. She's also been known or been proven to have provided false testimony in another athlete's case.
In 2019, in a similar case, Dr. Ayotte's testimony was found to be inaccurate, and that athlete's ban was overturned in part because of it.
I don't think that she should have been handling that case. I don't think she should. I wish they would have had more experts.
Dr. Ayotte tells the Court of Arbitration for Sport that the level of nandrolone in Shelby's urine could not have been caused by pork. Instead, it was more in line with what you'd see if she'd been taking small amounts of nandrolone orally, microdosing, basically, an increasingly popular way to cheat. After Ayotte, the only other expert called by World Athletics is John McGlone, a professor of animal science from Texas Tech, and he takes on the question of what was in the burrito. If what was inside the burrito was in fact pork, and that pork had enough naturally occurring nandrolone to raise Shelby's levels, then the meat would have had to come from an uncastrated boar. Uncastrated boars are rare in the U.S. food supply because their testicles make their meat taste bad. It's called boar taint. Yuck. And this animal scientist, McGlone, places the likelihood of Shelby eating uncastrated boar meat at, quote, far less than 1 in 10,000. After about 8 hours, the hearing ended, and Shelby went on a run.
And I remember, getting a few miles into it and just stopping and crying. I was just, sobbing because it was just, really overwhelming.
The Court of Arbitration in Sport began to deliberate. If they accept the burrito theory, they could just clear her, totally. That happens. And actually, right around the same time, 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug, and no action was taken against them. None. But even if they accept the burrito theory, they could still find fault and ban her for 2 years. She'd missed the Olympics.
I had just done a workout, and I was cooling down by myself, just had headphones in, was listening to music, feeling okay, I feel really fit and ready. Sat down on the turf and was kind of packing up my stuff, and then Jerry came over to me.
Her coach, Jerry Schumacher. It's been a week since the hearing.
And he kneeled down and he looked at me and he goes, Shel, they banned you for 4 years.
4 years. One of the harshest punishments for a first-time offender. In their decision, the court made clear they were not buying the burrito theory. They didn't think it explained how nandrolone ended up in her urine. Shelby couldn't prove that it was unintentional, and therefore, they believed it was intentional, that Shelby was doping.
And I just sat there looking at him, waiting for him to say just kidding. And then when he didn't, I was like, are you serious? I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do?
You had an opportunity that your lawyer presented to you. Mm-hmm. Tell me what that was.
Yeah, so if I admitted guilt, if I admitted that I cheated, I would get a 3-year ban instead of a 4-year ban.
And if Shelby's ban was 3 years instead of 4, she'd still be able to run in the Paris Olympics in 2024, when she'd be 30. still in the window of her athletic prime.
That was just never on the table for me, honestly. I shot that down immediately. I was like, I'm not going to admit to something that I know I didn't do.
Since I started running when I was 5 years old, I've had dreams of running professionally, setting records, winning an Olympic gold medal.
3 days
being one of
later,
the best in the
Shelby
world.
held a press conference.
I feel completely devastated, lost, broken, angry, confused, and betrayed by the very sport that I've loved and poured myself into just to see how good I was.
We've heard this story before, right?
I have never used steroids.
Athletes get caught.
There exists no one who can truthfully testify that I have ever used performance-enhancing drugs.
They deny it, tearfully sometimes.
I have never in my life, nor would I ever, do anything.
Using the same excuses as Shelby.
He's blaming it on the steak. The champion Spanish cyclist...
People are capable of astonishing lies.
Yeah.
From the beginning, people didn't want Lance Armstrong for a number of reasons either.
Why would anybody believe an athlete with a positive test when they say they're not doping?
Yeah, and that's totally fair too. Like, and that's frustrating on my end personally, because I'm like, screw those people for not like taking any accountability, because like not only all the repercussions for like how you cheated and how that's affected people, but it's also now affecting people, athletes that are going through this process that are telling the truth. And now I have no credibility because you lied, you know? So it's like, that's hard. That's really frustrating. I think it's also a dangerous road, like, to blindly trust the anti-doping organizations.
Well, then, you know, you could find somebody to say the exact opposite, which if we continue to blindly trust athletes and blindly mistrust these authorities, how would it ever improve?
I don't think you should blindly trust anything. Don't blindly trust me.
After a confusing back and forth, we have it confirmed now. Shelby Houlihan will not be allowed to race at the U.S. Olympic track and field trials.
After Shelby's ban was announced, 31 athletes signed an open letter demanding that her name be removed from the roster for the Olympic trials. She wasn't allowed to train with her team anymore, but her coach Jerry kept working with her on the side until one of her teammates called them out on Instagram and quit.
Let's start tonight with an update on a story I know you've just been on the edge of your seats waiting for, the latest on what we're calling Burrito Gate.
We've got an update for you now on Burrito Gate.
It didn't take long for Shelby's story to become clickbait.
It begs the question, what would a vegan blame for a failed test?
I can just see it now. People are going to get jacked eating tacos.
I was scared to leave my house because it felt like everyone knew.
She's likely a drug user, a drug cheat.
I personally believe that she did it. She knows she did it. She knows she got busted. She still won't come.
So I got a lot of like messages. I had one person write me a handwritten letter to tell me how horrible of a person I was.
If this was an athlete from Russia or from Kenya, I'd be like, yeah, right, it came from a burrito.
I can only conclude that she's guilty. And that's a terrible realization as a fan because she is.
Like, there would be a lot of positive comments too. Like, I don't want to like dismiss that.
I am a Shelby Houlihan fan. Love that girl. I do not think she would be doing stuff illegally like this.
One running website even sold t-shirts to support Shelby. The shirts had a picture of her burrito on the front and the words, Burrito Track Club.
That's funny. I never knew that they sold t-shirts. I didn't know that people bought them. I didn't know that they were going to give me part of the proceeds. I just got a check and I was like, thank you.
Shelby says she spent $250,000 on her defense, and she estimates that between salary and winnings, the ban has cost her something like $1.8 million. She left Oregon and moved back in with her parents in Iowa, where she took up odd jobs, DoorDash, Instacart, cat sitting.
I genuinely just like didn't know how to move forward. It just felt like a pit of darkness.
Did you take a break from running, or?
I took 3 weeks off and then decided to run again. It was just like, I just like running. I don't know, and it's kind of like my outlet. So I took 3 weeks off, decided, you know what, like, screw them. They can't take running away from me. They can take away my career, but they can't take away that I love this sport and I love to run, so I'm going to keep running.
Shelby continued training with the help of her sister, who's a collegiate track coach. She was banned from officially sanctioned competition, but in Iowa, she ran a few local races just for fun. And then in 2023, 2 years into her ban, she got an opportunity.
Runners, set, show!
An invitation to the World Beer Mile, a race held in Chicago where for every lap, you have to chug a beer.
Chug a beer, run a lap. Chug a beer, run a lap. So you're chugging 4 beers, running 4 laps, and you're trying to see how fast you can do that in.
Today, we again combine ale, our constant companion in spirit, with our drive to bend the rules of the physical world.
It's a popular event, and serious professional athletes show up to compete. National news outlets cover it.
I decided to do it because it sounded fun. I just really wanted running to be fun. I thought it would be a good step for me personally, like just kind of dip my toe in, I guess, back into the running community. And it is just a step to start overcoming some of that anxiety.
We are picking up Shelby from O'Hare.
That year, the organizers made a film about the beer mile in which they interviewed Shelby.
Evidently, like, some of the women in the women's championship race weren't comfortable with me racing against them. And yeah, I was definitely hurt. A week before, I got a call and they were like, so we talked to the women that are in the race, and there are some don't care that you're in, they're like excited, and there's others that like don't want you in the race.
The organizers offered Shelby the chance to run in the men's B heat, what they called the Elites and Legends race. Legends meant old guys. Basically, it'd be Shelby and a bunch of old guys.
Yeah, to like kind of be delivered that news that close to it was just like really frustrating. You invited me, like this, you know, like why wasn't this like solved or handled beforehand, not like a week before? And I don't want to like make anyone else uncomfortable, but I still want to like stand up for myself here.
Can you tell me about maybe your feelings about Shelby Houlihan and her competing?
Yeah, it's a little conflicting. I mean, it's tough because...
Beer mile world record holder Corey Belmore, just before race day.
I don't want to say too much, but yeah, again, a big supporter of clean sport, and yeah, not a big fan of dopers, so that's all I have to say.
It was hard, but I also was kind of reminding myself, like, when I can race again and the band is up, like, I might be in those positions where there's going to be people that don't want me in the race, and I just need to, like, be okay with that and, like, still know that I deserve to be there.
Shelby wouldn't be able to qualify for a medal, but any record she got would be hers.
I was like, I think I could break the women's record. Like, I think I could do that.
The women's record for the beer mile stood at 6 minutes and 16 seconds.
Friends and family, please welcome to the start line these glorious competitors of today's Legends and Elites section.
Shelby towed the line that day, standing shoulder to shoulder with men decades older than her. Guys who were going after the seniors record in the beer mile.
There's so many question marks in that starting line for me that I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin.
Before the race, someone was yelling at me like, how's that burrito? Or like, I don't know, it's something about a burrito. Like going into that, before that happened, like I was afraid, like, would I be able to still like perform and like be myself? And when he shouted it, I just was like, I don't care at all. Like, I zoned it out. I was like, you sound like an idiot right now. Like, whatever.
Chug!
All right, we didn't have the quote away there, but there we are out on this. You're going to see some of the best chuggers in the world here.
The race begins with all the runners slow walking as they chug their first bottle. Shelby had been practicing her chugging for weeks.
I think one of the best tips that I got was like, if you can't drink your beer in one go and you have to like stop and take a breath, like don't bring it back down and then bring it back up. Like just keep holding it up and breathe. Because if you bring it down and bring it back up, it's gonna like fizz more or like get more bubbly.
She calmly, smoothly, in one motion, throws back her first beer and downs it. She then hands her empty Budweiser bottle to an official who confirms its emptiness. All this takes about 15 seconds, but when she starts running, she's near the rear of the pack.
You spend the first 100 meters kind of burping it out, and then like the next 200 run really fast, and then like the last 50 slow down so you can like get your heart rate back down.
Puking, which happens a lot in this race, results in a penalty lap, so Shelby needs to be careful.
It was definitely like trying to gauge how hard I should push and like where that line was. And then the last 400 just tried to rip it.
Got John Markle still on the track, the old godfather right there. Not in form that he's been in the past. He has knee surgery. And you get Jim Finlayson coming in. I think that's going to be the now standing seniors record. Oh, wow. And Shelby Houlihan are just completely screaming down that stretch right there. Let's see what time she pulls in.
Today, for the first time in world history, 6 minutes has been broken by a female contestant. Not only is that a world record...
Shelby runs the beer mile in 5 minutes and 43 seconds. The organizers hand her a sign that says, world record. As they take her photo, she's beaming.
I've been doing this by myself, like the last 3 weeks, just like trying to practice. This is so much more fun. Is like the crowd was amazing. Like the energy and the atmosphere of the place was awesome. I would 100% do this again. This was such a fun time. Yeah. How did you do that?
Here's Shelby Houlihan, the American record holder in the 1500, who last month finished serving a 4-year ban for testing positive.
Shelby's ban ended in early 2025, and she's returned to competitive racing.
And at the line, it's going to be Houlihan for silver and home.
In March, she won silver in the 3,000 meters at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in China with no team, no coach, and no sponsors. She wears the super shoes now, just like everyone else, and she's passed every drug test.
I don't take any vitamins anymore or anything. Like I don't really trust anything. Even I'm like eating meat for dinner sometimes, and just like I'll cut a chunk out and freeze it in case I get tested.
Shelby, we can call it surprise, but I think you were ready for this race.
I was definitely ready for it. I had a lot of time to prepare.
Well, you've definitely served your time, and you're back. So I'm really rooting for you and wishing you the best.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's like the other thing where I'm like, unfortunately, I did serve 4 years. So it's like, if you don't believe me, I did the time at least, you know.
Thank you, Shelby, for sharing your story with The Snap. The original score was by Clay Xavier. It was produced by John Fecile. Now, after the break, what if one day you discover you're the spitting image of the most famous person in the country who everyone hates? Stay tuned. Welcome back to Snap Judgment. My name is Washington. Okay, so you have a look. You see yourself in the mirror and you think, that's me, that's what I look like. Friends and family, they think the same thing. That's her, all right. Well, What if you look the same as you always have, but the world gives you a totally different response?
I think I saw it on television. That was back when we all watched the news at like 6. I think they actually broke into whatever else was going on to, say, this just in.
In Detroit today, there's been a violent attack on an American athlete. Nancy Kerrigan, the American figure skater, who was widely considered a favorite to win a medal at the Winter Olympics, was attacked at a practice session.
2 men wielding some sort of unidentified stick-type object, something, I don't know.
The story was these guys who knew figure skating rival Tanya Harding had plotted the whole thing. They followed Nancy Kerrigan to Michigan and then clubbed her right at the knee with a metal baton. The idea was to knock her out of the running for the Olympics.
They were showing that famous, awful clip of Nancy injured on the floor around, near the rink, and people rushing to her aid and her crying in pain. It's awful. In 1994, I was living in Boston. Nancy had grown up she's from Stoneham, but we all had sort of watched her rise.
Nancy was adored, the local kid who was gonna win the gold. But
Tanya's reputation before this happened was that she was a tough, athletic, amazing skater who succeeded against all odds. She saved bottle caps to pay for her ice time. She sewed her own costumes. She was like the good kind of scrappy. It was such a huge scandal. Who did it, why, who's to blame. So after this, Nancy was the golden girl and Tanya was the white trash. After that news broke, the next time that I left the house, I was walking down the street. I sensed a car slow down next to me. Whoever it was rolled down the window and said, "Hey, Tanya, go home," to me.
So Lynn is holding out on one piece of information here.
I was taking private figure skating lessons from a coach at the MIT rink. So I'd often be around Cambridge carrying my skates. All of a sudden, it was constant. People would stop me on the street. "Hey, you know what you look like?" And what they were thinking was that I looked exactly like Tanya Harding. And the thing is, I really did. I walked into my house one day and there was a message saying, "Lynn, this is so-and-so over at the Boston Globe. I heard you look a lot like Tanya Harding and I'm wondering what that's like for you. Can you please give me a call?"
Lynn's picture made it on the front page of the Metro section. Then the story got picked up and distributed all over the country.
So that's when the phone calls almost broke the tiny cassette tape in my answering machine.
The media was Tanya crazy. One TV station wanted to drive Lynn to Nancy Kerrigan's house and have her stand on the front lawn. She declined. But Lynn did want to be on stage, to act, do comedy, do something. She was only 25 and hadn't really figured out how to make that happen. And then she got a call from the king of daytime TV.
When Geraldo called to ask me to be on the show, I called my mom and I was like, "Geraldo." And she goes, "Oh, God." Geraldo was a kind of a, middle-brow investigative reporter.
He wanted her to play Tanya for their infamous celebrity look-alike contest.
A limo came to drive us to the studio. We all trickled down to the lobby one by one. So first, the Nancy look-alike, then the guy who looked exactly like Joey Buttafuoco, and then, of course, the Amy Fisher look-alike. The folks in the limo definitely asked me, "Wow, so do you mind looking like Tanya?" look with, clear disdain. So I was like, I don't know, what do you think, Joey? Do you mind looking like a dude who had an affair with a 16-year-old? What's your story?
Lynn killed the lookalike contest. And then Geraldo asked her to come back to play Tanya in a mock grand jury trial to basically determine her guilt.
So, he opened the show, very serious voice and very furrowed brow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special Geraldo. We are here to actually consider the evidence with the help of real lawyers. And there is not conjecture here, folks. And there were two lawyers that I remember. One of them was the lady in the turban with a big jewel in the front. And she was very dramatic, and it felt like she had walked out of a movie from some other time. Why would they do such a thing? She's got every motive in the world to destroy her rival. Of course she's got motive. She wants to win the gold. The guy who played my lawyer was Joey Buttafuoco's actual lawyer. It was the weirdest thing. It was so weird. And I was wearing my ice skates. I was wearing my skates in the courtroom. And I remember so clearly looking around the room, thinking to myself, Jesus, where do they get these people?
And then came the Winter Olympics in Lillehammer, the showdown everyone was waiting for. Nancy versus Tanya.
And you see Nancy and Tanya skate out onto the ice with, just feet between them as they skate in their circles warming up. And it is just the coldest, tensest thing you have ever seen. Tanya's Olympic showing was pretty much a disaster.
The technical program reaches back with a right foot, single.
She singled her triples.
Like she was uncomfortable, and I think she's going to quit.
She puts her skate up on the boards, and she's pointing to her boot, and she's pointing to her coach, and she's kind of pointing back and forth and clearly upset.
She'd had a malfunction with the laces on her skate.
She is just crying from all the stress, and the whole goddamn world is making fun of her. Can you imagine? Man, even all the times that I felt like what I was doing was harmless, there's a little voice in my head going, I'm so sorry, Tanya, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Nancy Kerrigan didn't get gold, but she did get silver, and that pretty much cemented her place as America's sweetheart. Tanya lost. She ended 8th, and that was pretty much the end of Tanya.
I remember thinking, this has been fun, and I hope Tanya forgives me, but I can't coast on this forever.
The spotlight might have felt good for a minute, but she decided it was time to really give it a go, to finally move to New York and take a crack at the comedy world, and she told herself she'd do it on her own, without Tanya.
So once I moved to Brooklyn, I dyed my hair like a really beautiful, rich chestnut brown, and was making my own way until one day when my roommate's friend burst in waving a copy of Backstage magazine. He plops it down on the coffee table and he jams his finger at this thing that he circled. And it says something like, The Musical Inquirer, a downtown musical in search of new Tanya Harding. And we all look up and I'm like, oh no. What I lacked in incredible talent, I made up for in looking exactly like Tanya. Being super Tanya was my asset. And, it's like, this is what you do. This is what you do. You audition, you get roles, you do it. And so I auditioned, got the part, trudged shamefully back to the hair salon. I was like, remember that beautiful brown hair dye that you put in? I said, pointing to my beautiful brown head. They're like, yeah. I'm like, you got to take it out.
Big thanks to Lynn Harris for her story. Lynn is an author, a commentator, an award-winning journalist, and a mostly retired comedian She also has a new business teaching comedy to teenage girls. To learn more and watch her perform and sing as Tanya Harding, check out our website, snapjudgment.org. The original score and sound design by the amazing Leon Morimoto. That story was produced by Liz Mak. It's that time, Snappers, and if you missed even a moment, know that an entire world of Snap storytelling awaits. In fact, we recently dropped a brand new series, diving into the world of incarcerated women firefighters battling the flames in California, hosted by Snap's own Anna Sussman. It's called Fire Escape, on podcast platforms everywhere right now. KQD in San Francisco, Snap Judgment's orbiting Hall of Justice. No Snap Studios content may be used for training, testing, or developing machine learning or AI systems without prior written positions. And on Team Snap, the union-represented producers, artists, editors, and engineers are members of the National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians, Communications Workers of America, AFL-CIO, Local 51. Snap is brought to you by the team that fights the authority, except, of course, for the Uber producer, Mr. Mark Ristich, who fights the authority. The authority always wins. Now there's Nancy Lopez, Pat Mesiti-Miller, Anna Sussman, Renzo Gorio, John Fecile, Shayna Shealy, Teo Ducott, Flo Wiley, Bo Walsh, Marissa Dodge, David Exime, and Regina Bediaco. And this is not the news. No way is this the news. In fact, it could just be some down on his luck Philadelphia drifter who gets a once-in-a-lifetime shot at the heavyweight title. And he would still not be as far away from the news as this is. But this is PRG.